Hello, everybody. Give it another minute for people to hop on. Anything that that's on your mind, Natalia, that you want to share and talk about this morning? Good morning, everyone that's hopping on. Freak Farm says, yo, yo. Yo, yo. What's up? We're going to get started with this call shortly here. We're just giving another minute or two for people to hop on. But in the meantime, let's bring to our minds any challenges, even any wins, any challenges, any wins, any aha moments, um, any thoughts of failure, thoughts of attack, thoughts of judgments. Bring it all kind of to the forefront of your mind as we begin this call. Because the goal of A Course in Miracles is learning not to lean on our own strengths and our own judgments. But how do we give it over? So before we start the call, let's just kind of start bringing that up for ourselves. And then we'll start with a little prayer, and then we will begin the call. Start recording. Okay. So, dear God, I feel I have failed. I feel I have succeeded. I feel I have won. I feel I have lost. All of these are temporary emotions that I've created through my own judgments. And to find peace and to find love and to be content with the divine intelligence, I will let them all go and surrender it to you. Surrender not in a way of giving up, but in a way of giving in. So if I have any challenges and I have any struggles, and if any fears come up, please do for me what I cannot do. Please shift my mind from a place of fear to a place of love. And under your guidance and deepening my faith, may I recognize that only love is real. Amen. Okay, so we'll get started now. Now that Brooke is here, we are going to get the call started. Hello, good morning. Thanks for hopping on at
Good morning.
7 a.m. here in the PST time. And thank you everybody on all the different live places that are joining in. It is my intention and my prayer that as a result of this call, that we contribute to the healing of the world, whatever that looks like. That all of our actions and all of our thoughts are in alignment to serving the greatest good. And that may we open our channels to God so that spirit may flow through all the things that we do. And we do it with grace, and we do it with joy. We do it with patience, with generosity, with tolerance, with joy. Okay, so let's get this call started now that we've spent enough time opening this call. I hope that everybody steps into an openness in your mind and in your heart this morning. Whatever challenges and whatever struggles, whatever wins, whatever losses you think you may have had this week, let's give it all over to God, knowing that I didn't do it myself. That Spirit and God is always working through me, whether I recognize it or not. Just because we lose sight of something does not mean it is not there. I don't know. Okay. So, To begin this call, let's do a little bit of an introduction, like I always do. Is what is A Course in Miracles? And what are we talking about here? Because there's, new people all the time tuning into what it is that I am doing. They're like, what? Money and spirituality? How the hell do you bring those two things together? It's such in spiritual communities, it's people really, you know, they want to renounce money and all the things, and they talk about all the evils that people with money does. And then on some level, they're like, man, I wish I was financially free. Look at that conflict in our mind. Even if God or the universe wanted to give you what you're asking for, it's confusing. Right? You want to be in abundance, but you're rejecting money, which is a form of abundance, which is a form of spirit that flows through you. So, A Course in Miracles. Oh, hold on. So, A Course in Miracles is this book. Okay, there are many other books that people have written with the teachings of A Course in Miracles. Marianne Williamson is one of the greatest teachers of the Course. And she has many, many books. She has A Return to Love. She has The Law of Divine Compensation. Basically, every single book that she has is inspired by A Course in Miracles. And she writes books on every topic. She has food and dieting and nutrition also through A Course in Miracles. Love, our loving relationships through that, our relationship through money through that. Like everything she does, she's literally teaching A Course in Miracles through all the different avenues. And she's been an amazing teacher. She even has a book on romance and sex, right? Like all the topics you can think about. And there are other books. Conversations with God is also another one. Wow, The Disappearing Universe is another one. So there's a lot of different things out there that are inspired by the Course. But also the Course came around the 70s. And the 70s, I don't know if it's all the LSD and all this all the hippie movement during that time of love, that there was a lot of really, really profound bodies of work that came out around that time. All very, very spiritual. And it's like unlocking some ancient secret, or actually a remembering of some ancient secret. And they're all along the same lines of something. And so the Course, it says that it is just one one of millions of different universal teachings about spirituality and about God. So it's not the one, right? It's just one of many. It is Christian in languaging, but it will trigger non-Christians as much as it triggers Christians reading this book. Because it isn't about the different religions, it's just about your own ego and what comes up. When I first started studying the Course, I was heavily resistant to it because I grew up half Catholic and half Buddhist. And the Buddhist side of my family was always an invitation. It was like, yeah, here, do this if you want. And then it always seemed to I can apply it to my life because it was so gentle. And then the Catholic side was like, come here, do this, study this. And if you don't do this, you're going to hell. Like there was just so much, like, I don't know. It really turned me off to it. And it turned me off to it to a point that I blamed every single problem in the world on religious institutions at some point in my life when I was younger. And I was an angry kid. I got into a lot of fights, got into a lot of problems. And it wasn't until and my one of my mentors just kept giving me this book. I was like, dude, it says God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, and whatever. And I can't do this. Every time I open it, I close it back up. Many years, this book sat on my shelf. Actually, it was a different. It was a paperback one, but it sat there. And then when things would come, because I was angry, I was projecting anger out into the world. So of course, coming back to me was just a bunch of chaos and anger. And I was like, and things would happen to me. I'm like, I don't know why. And then I get really pissed off. And then my boy's like, my mentor is like, here, did you read the course yet? I was like, dude, I cannot read that. Give me something else to read. I read everything from Tao Te Ching and all the other philosophical books. And it was great. I mean, I loved it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. But all that did was put what I had in a box. It just verified those things. That this is the Eastern philosophy. I still had a division in my mind. I live in a Western country promoting and believing only in Eastern philosophies. And really, it wasn't until my let's see, even when my dad passed away, I did not open my heart enough to read the course. But when my dog passed away, that was when my heart was broken enough to open myself up to the course. And I was like, you know what? Let me just read it again. And I never even got past like page 2 in the introduction, in the preface. And I was like, I'm committed to just at least reading the first chapter, getting through there. And it was somebody actually recommended me to start in the manual for teachers, because it's not like teaching you to teach, but it shows up as, here are the questions that students have when they read this. Here are the challenges that students will have as soon as they start reading the course. So I started in the back in in manual for teachers, and I'll read you something in which really moved me and kind of changed my perception about everything. Because I was in like personal development, transformational work. I went to like Tony Robbins stuff. I was part of an MLM that Tony Robbins' son was involved in. I listened to Jarek Robbins all the time. He was on stage, and you know, I was killing it in this MLM business as a college student. And yeah, I was at all the conferences. I would be brought up. They're like, oh my God, look, 18-year-old killing it in the game. Who can't do it? So they edified me a lot. And Jarek Robbins was one of the people that was involved. And we did a lot of mindset work. And so I was very familiar with that. So in the course, I'll just read where I was in a lot of pain. My dog passed away, and that was it was really hard for me. So there's a section in the manual for teachers that says, how is healing accomplished? And so this could be anything. It's a healing of anywhere in our mind that we have fear come in, right? Anywhere we have even doubts, questions, whenever we are not clearly focused and absolutely certain, hey, Shirley, absolutely certain about what we're doing this morning. We wake up, and if there's doubts, like, oh, I don't know, am I going to make money? Am I not going to make money? Any uncertainty that you have, it means that there is a part of your mind that is split off, and you're not healed in this moment. There is no halfway. You're either clear or you're not. Right? You either know that you wake up today, that you're going to contribute to the healing of the world, or you're not. It's very simple. But we break it down to all the different things, and it's money, and it's my responsibility to people and to my family. All the other stuff comes up the second we wake up. It's like we wake up and our mind just goes right into doing. Today I got to do this. Today I got to do this. I got to raise money for this. I got to, it just goes straight into it. It's like, did we even rest? We went from going to sleep worried to waking up worried. Like, what happened in between? That there is no breaks from the time I go to sleep to waking up, right? So how is healing accomplished? So I'm going to read a little bit just to start this call. And as and after I finish reading here, let's take some shares and like, what are you getting from it? Okay. And the invitation for everybody is, take out your phone or a piece of paper or something in which you can start to actively be like, all right, I'm going to find the golden nugget in this reading. What is going to help me shift my mind or help me remember when I forget? Right? Like in these moments. So Just listen for that. You don't even have to understand everything I'm saying, but just listen to the couple pieces that may be life-changing or altering for you. Okay. So this comes from the fifth section of the Manual for Teachers. How is healing accomplished? Healing involves an understanding of what the illusion of sickness is for. Healing is impossible without this. The perceived purpose of sickness. 1. The perceived purpose of sickness. Healing is accomplished the instant the sufferer no longer sees any value in pain. Who would choose suffering unless he thought it would bring him something and something of value to him? And you can replace him to her, whatever. He must think it is a small price to pay for something of greater worth. For sickness is an election, a decision. It is the choice of weakness in the mistaken conviction that it is strength. When this occurs, real strength is seen as a threat and health as danger. Sickness is a method conceived in madness for placing God's Son on his Father's throne. God is seen as outside, fierce, and powerful, eager to keep all the power to himself. Only by his death can he be conquered by his Son. So it's very, very intense words. Deliberately, it puts it that way, but just follow along. And what in this insane conviction does healing stand for? It symbolizes the defeat of God's Son and the triumph of his Father over him. It represents the ultimate defiance in the direct form which the Son of God is forced to recognize. It stands for all he would hide from himself to protect his quotation mark life. If he is healed, he is responsible for his thoughts. And if he is responsible for his thoughts, he would be killed to prove how weak and pitiful he is. But if he chooses death himself, his weakness is his strength. Now has he given himself what God would give to him, and thus entirely usurped the throne of his creator. So I'll pause right there for a second, and then we'll go into the shift. What it's saying right there is we believe in our own strength so much that we believe our own strength and our own thoughts is greater than the divine intelligence, God's orchestration of the planet. That is what we believe. Think about it like this. When we go to the hospital or when somebody is really sick or dying, and you do everything you can from our world level, and what happens at the very end? We say, the doctor might say, there's nothing more I can do. It's in God's hands now. Like if it wasn't in God's hands always, right? That's the insanity of mankind, is that everything we do in our life every morning, from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep, we fight for our own strength and our own path. And everything we do, if you look at it in a certain way, is basically trying to usurp the throne. God, you don't got this. You got it wrong. I'm not supposed to be in this position. I'm not supposed to be this broke. I'm not supposed to have my heart broken. I'm not supposed to feel overwhelmed. How do you know? See, that's the problem. We have this mentality of, if I only had, I'm not happy with this, but I will be happy when I get that. And that's what we chase. And then this becomes that, and that becomes this. And then we just chase until the very end of our life. And we say, maybe in the next life. Maybe in the next life, I'll get that. And that's just insanity. This is the insanity that the Course says we are operating from, is we chase what we think we deserve and what's best for us and what's best for our family. But if you ask for love, if you ask to experience love or experience forgiveness, or to recognize the capacity in which you can love and you can understand and be compassionate, then wouldn't the thing for God and the universe to do is to show you and reveal to you all the things that's in the way? See, that requires a shift in our mindset. Like, oh, this is put in front of me so that I can overcome. And all successful philosophies talk about where you are in the most uncomfortable place in your life is where you grow. We point to it all over, but we don't really understand. We're still not shifting it over to there's a greater intelligence at play here. And so it's about connecting ourselves, is to deepen our spirituality and deepen our faith so that we may see all the challenges and all the wins and all the things that happen in our lives with a certain purpose behind it. There's a certain reason for everything that happens. Right? So the second part is the shift in perception. And what I've been talking about in this last couple in a little bit is the shifting in our perception, that we see that it's not me with a lowercase me, but it's me with a capital case me, which is the collective and the God me. Healing must occur in exact proportion to which the valuelessness of sickness is recognized. See, we talk about this sometimes, which is we choose anger and we choose to be sick, and we'll fight to say, hey, well, I didn't choose to be sick, but we chose it from the thinking in our mind every day, from the stress that we allow to take on, right? We actually choose sickness. We want to be right about something. We the righteousness that the ego has goes so far to where wars happen, genocides happen. If anybody's ever experienced just like anger at such a level where you are willing to hurt yourself or hurt things just to make a point or to break things. I've I've done shit from throwing my phone out my window to punching a wall and breaking my hand to just stupid shit. Like, it's just insanity. And then afterwards I'm like, how stupid. I need my phone. Why did I throw my phone out the window? Right? Like, what point was I trying to prove that I would do something like that? Like, if we really think about it, that's how insane we are. And we're insane, not just in that moment, but just in other times, we're just to the less degree that we're insane. When we react with anger to somebody honking while they're driving, or just watching people and we react with judgment and attack thoughts, those are the same thing. They are one little button away from the complete losing your mind again. We're always on the verge of that, on the verge of just like losing it. It takes one little thing. Unless we can bring our minds to this place that, oh, everything is happening for me. Everything is happening for the good of the universe, for the good of mankind, for the good of the collective. And no matter what I do and what I see, I am always in participation of that. I will always be participating in the good. Even in this moment, I may do something stupid. But the shifting of the perception is that I can't do anything but to help heal the world. See, there is nothing you can do that's off of God's plans. The only thing is, can you recognize that you're playing a role in it so that you can do those things with a peace of mind, with calmness, recognizing it. Okay, hey, Harry, go ahead. And welcome back, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. It feels good to be back. Honestly, I'm feeling more connection right now. I actually was leaving my video off for some subconscious reasoning, and everyone's video on. I was like, okay, let me put a t-shirt on. I'm laying down. Okay, I'm laying down. Let me put a t-shirt on and put the video on. And I'm feeling so much connection right now, and I really appreciate everyone that's here right now. It's been man, I like talking about anger. I attempted to start a fight with everybody inside of a restaurant at Daytona Beach. Like, I called everyone out to the road and was like willing to like practice this martial arts and kung fu that I've been getting. So I'm like, man, let me get some training. Like, I've been so angry, and just some of the things that have been coming up in mind on why I've been angry. Like, I have felt spirit and my guides so closely at times that it's like they're in the same exact room and I know what to do. and I run away from it. I'm like, whatever it is, I just like the rebellion, or I'm addicted to like pain or whatever the hell is going on. I like run away. And I'm like, no, I don't really want that. I'll call when I'm in a time of need. And I like to feel like the challenging, or I just feel like that pain has been the challenge for me. And that's been it's been the soil that's been growing me. Like all my family turned, or most of my family, not all of my family, most of my family turned their back on me when I got really sick. I was telling you a little bit about Alex, and I'll share with everyone else. I took half an ounce of psilocybin mushroom one day last year. I was on a commercial truck. I ended up getting pulled over that night for fleeing and eluding, switching spots with a driver that was unlicensed. I had weapons drawn on me by police officers. They pulled me out the truck while the brakes were unengaged. I went to jail for 3 days. Went to the forest for 10 months without a phone. Got out of that forest, like came over here to another one at Daytona Beach, and just been building my business back up. And like throughout the entire thing, like my mom that's stuck in the matrix has turned her back on me because I no longer hold this financial place in my business anymore. So I'm, I guess, not a good enough son for her, or whatever the hell's going on with her. And it's just been, when it comes down to it, though, I've been running away from the will of God. That's basically what I'm getting from this call, is that whatever it is that He has for me, I've just been running away from it. And it's getting to a point where it's like too much. I can't do it. I mean, I can continue to do it. I continue to do it, and it's so freaking sickening. And those are my judgments, and that's my share.
Yeah. Thank you, and welcome back. After it's been a long journey. I know you've been MIA for that time, and I know I can see it and I can feel it just from a little bit of your participations here and there, that you are going through some struggles and challenges. And I've sent lots of love and prayers to you, and that you return from this journey soon. And here's the thing. We have, and I say this a lot, but you haven't been here this past year, we have extremely high tolerance for pain. We're willing to mistaken fear for love, mistaken judgment for love, right? We're willing to do that for a long period of time because our tolerance for pain is very high. But the Course says that because actually it's our tolerance, our righteousness is greater than our tolerance for pain. And that's the problem. But it isn't without end. At some point, we're going to be like, what the fuck am I doing? At some point, we're going to say that. We're going to be like, why am I still doing this? And then you're going to say, there must be another way. And the light and God that is in you is simply sitting there waiting. The answers are hell for you, but you literally have to say, there must be another way. It's no longer my way. It's God's way. And when you can reconnect yourself to that and start to operate first from a place of forgiveness of you think that everybody has abandoned you and this and that. Well, they can't. Okay, you're still here, and nobody can abandon you. But the shift in your mind has to happen first, right? Because there is a payoff for you to be alone, to think that everybody has abandoned you. There is a payoff for that. And the payoff is I get to be angry. I get to continue to operate the way that I've always operated that hasn't served me. There's a payoff. First, you got to recognize that you have a payoff. And then you look at what's the new possibility? What's the new possibility that I can step into now? And what do I see as possible? Now you can separate yourself from this past version of you to a new version that you want to become. And then what am I going to implement into my life? What are the practices I'm going to do? So that I can start to be in a place of peace and not be so angry anymore, and not want to fight everyone that I see and be at war with my whole family. See, if you are, and also I want to bring up the whole psilocybin thing. Like if you just go and eat half an ounce of psilocybin and you're not in a contained and a safe place, the world has already been a place that is not safe for you. So if you just go out into the world and let me just consume all that's going to do is magnify whatever you're experiencing by 1,000,000. so that it's actually magnifying so you can see it. It actually condenses time. It shows it to you in such a way that if you're like, I want to know what love really is, then and then you're dealing with all the struggles, all that will do is magnify it for you so you can actually get through it quicker. But right now in time, in our physical world's time, it looks like you like went insane for a whole year. But it's not. You're always walking to the light no matter what you think is happening. You are always being course corrected. Right? Like reaching back out to me, coming back onto these calls. Like, you know, in your mind where you need to go, but you're just being stubborn. You're being stubborn and you want to go and start some fights and think, oh, this is what's going to bring my ego some joy. I get a false sense of control for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, why is anger and everything filling back into my space? Why am I having chaos all over again? So it's like an honest look. You got to take an honest look at yourself and where you're at and what you've chosen. When we're really clear that we've chosen pain over joy, pain over fun, then we're like, oh my God, what am I doing? But we kind of just like put a little veil over ourselves, like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. But I think I get some control here, and that's going to give me some sense of satisfaction. But it doesn't. All right. So, yeah. And thank you for being back and contributing and sharing vulnerably that way. Appreciate you. Antoine, you wanted to share something?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to add some color to what you said there. Running away from who we're supposed to be or meant to be, or running away when a challenge, shows up in our life. I struggle with that a lot myself. And when I read the book, The Secret, one of the things was that, and you said it earlier, was that these things that come into your life that you think about what you want, but are unexpected, or you look at it as chaotic or whatever, are designed to make you grow. So if you want to be a courageous person and learn how to overcome challenges, when something like that comes, if you look at it, if you change your perspective and look at it as, well, this is a blessing to make me courageous, or to give me strength, or to make me wise. You change your perspective about it, then all of a sudden you receive it, you deal with it in a different light than with anger or with whatever. I've been able to practice that in my life and say, okay, my day is not going as planned. Okay, this must be a blessing. What is God trying to bless me with? And I look at it from that perspective, and then sure enough, I'm actually now able to focus on the problem, look at it calmly, instead of out of disdain and anger when it's happening to me. And because of the clarity now, I'm able to just be calm, receive it, deal with it. And at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, what a great blessing. I got more visibility through the problem. I got smarter through the problem. So you're sharing that, yeah, you mentioned the word perspective earlier. I just wanted to, repeat it, but with a different aspect of it.
Yeah. Thank you. I was watching a video this morning, and it's about our brain. Literally, there's like this little alien looking thing that walks across and picks shit up. And it's like when we experience happiness, this little things of happiness like pop up into like the ground. And this thing just walks over and just like absorbs and picks all these things up and then just becomes happy. And then when we're worried and upset, same thing pops up and it just kind of picks it back up. And more worry propels more worry. Happiness propels more happiness. And so it's crazy because science is showing us that this spiritual world is real, because yes, that thing is picking it up. Okay, we understand that that's happening. Like, we had to go and do all this, use a microscope or whatever they use, all the way to find out that, wow, all of this shit they've been saying forever has been true. And then, but how did that thing even come up out of the ground? How did you even experience the happiness or the sadness and all of that? Right? You just got to fill it somehow. You got to interrupt it. There's practices we have to do to make that happen. because we genuinely can feel, whoa, am I feeling like peace, or am I feeling still overwhelming worry? Right? That overwhelming, like, you can't lie to yourself. It just doesn't happen. It's going to continue. It's going to come up. Like, you can't say, "Ooh, yeah, now I'm grateful." Now you can say it all you want, but if you really look within, like, am I feeling that, or am I still feeling worry and all of that negative energy? And what must you do every day? What must you submerge yourself or immerse yourself in every day so that you can have a genuine experience of peace? And then you experience that genuine moment of peace, and let that little thing in your brain walk around and pick peace up. And then it just becomes a little bit bigger. It fills with peace a little more. And then you just do more of that, right? Because if you let it sit, see, here's the thing about our world. And my coach, Gary Grant, actually taught me this, or he put it in such a way that was like, it made sense for me. The Course says this world we created, we've made it. Okay. It's a world that is full of perceptions. That means it can change every moment. Every moment it will change. That's why this world is an illusion, the Course says. The truth is love and is heaven that will never change. It's always going to be. It will always encompass everything. Okay, that's the truth, because it's eternal and never changes. Now, because we live in this 3D world, everything is always collapsing. Everything is always collapsing, and it requires us to hold this up, hold that up, fix this, fix that, patch this hole, patch that hole. We have to do it constantly, because it's a world that is kind of just falling apart all the time, because it's a world of perception. Now, what we're doing is let those things fall and see what remains of it. And then love those things rather than trying to create the things around it. Now, if you want to cultivate that love, it requires constantly to change your mind and perception to it. It requires you to tend to it all the time. As soon as you stop tending to it, it begins to crumble. The world that you want to live, the loving, happy, joyful world that you want to be in, that if you let that collapse, like maybe it's your relationship with your spouse or your kids or your business, if you stop tending to those things, it's not like it collapses right away, but the regard for those things starts to collapse piece at a time, little pieces. If you want love and you want great relationships in your life, you don't tend to those things, they start to fall a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And before you know it, you're overwhelmed at the fact that everything has fallen a little bit and you don't even know where to start. And so we have to tend to it. We're like, all right, well, I created a garden here. I didn't just plant all these things and just leave it, because the more I leave it, the more weeds grow, the more things die and random things starts growing in there. You got to tend to it. That's our mind. We have to tend to our mind so that we can grow the garden that we want to see. That's, yes, the law of attraction is that you tend to those things. What you say is important to you and what you promise to love, you tend to it every day. And so you can keep this, because as soon as you let that go, as soon as you just go, I'm just gonna chill and relax, the ego comes back in and creates all the noise again. So you got to tend to all these things. As soon as I let it go, all of a sudden overwhelm starts to happen. And it's not even like it's added on. It's just because I stopped seeing, I stopped trusting. My faith disappeared for moments. I started to trust in myself again. Oh, I have to make this money. I got to go out and provide for my family. I got to be in charge of my happiness and joy, and not my own, but I got to be in charge of everyone else's. My kids' futures, I'm in charge of that. Not really. You're not in charge of anything. At the end of the day, when we look at it, we have zero control of anything at all. You can do everything you can for your kids, and the next day somebody gets hit by a bus. Okay. right? So it's just about, let me be in here in this moment now. And the course has a section that talks about finding the present moment. There is nothing but the present moment. As long, you know what? Let me just open to it right now. I bet I can flip to it real quick. Yep, look at it right here. I didn't even know. I just know somewhere around where it is in the book. I didn't have a mark on it or anything. That's the presence right there. Okay. There was a section in Finding the Present that I wanted to. I remember it was here somewhere. I have so much stuff underlined in my book, like literally the whole thing's underlined. So when I try to look for the underlining parts, I'm like, oh shit. The not underlined parts actually is now sticking out. And it's probably what I should read. Okay. To perceive truly is to be aware of all reality through the awareness of your own. But for this, no illusion can rise to meet your sight. For reality leaves no room for any error. This means that you perceive a brother only as you see him now. His past has no reality in the present, so you cannot see it. Your past reactions to him are also not there. And if it is to them that you react, you see but an image of him that you have made and cherish instead of him. See, this is what we do with everything. We don't actually see people as they are now. We see an image of somebody that we cherish. We're like, yep, this is Brooke. Brooke has always got all the energy. Brooke is always happy and jolly. And I can't even see if Brooke was upset with anything. I can't see why she would react any other way besides that, because I've cherished that image. Now, flip that around. My parents always neglect me. They never this, they never that. Before we even pick up the phone to have a conversation with them, we're like, I already know how it's going to go, so I'm not even going to have it. How many times do we do shit like that? I already know how it's going to go. I already know if I call this investor, they're not going to have the money to do it. Okay. We make up stuff for people because of an image that we hold of them of the past. We don't give this new moment a chance. And so this is why I actually talk to our group about how capital raising is a spiritual practice. It's a practice of finding new moment, new possibility, new relationship. Okay? People aren't saying no to you. People are to the deal or anything. They're saying no to the relationship that you've created up to this point. Right? There are relationships that I've built that I'm like, okay, hey, I'm struggling here doing this and this capital raise, whatever. And they're like, well, I can't do it, but let me help you. Like, they want you to win. You want to create relationships in which you really just want somebody to win. You know, because I don't even know how. I think my wife actually reached out to one of my good brothers in Peru, one of my great teachers. He called me yesterday and was like, hey, man, you know, I've just been praying for you. I've just been praying, not that you're going to have all the money and all the things work out, but I'm just praying that you are able to express your gifts, that you're able to share your gifts with the world, and that you don't forget that you're doing the right thing here. He's like, I pray that you can express your gifts. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Right? He's like, he's not praying that I'm like, that the overwhelm is gone, that my deal is fine and all this stuff. Right? He's literally just praying that you can continue through all of this. You can still continue to share your gifts. I was like, man, thank you. He's like, just do your best and give the rest to God. And I'm like, you know, I'm experiencing the overwhelm and this here. And he goes, dude, work, have it closed or not, whatever the results is, just do your best. You know, just do your best and then give it over to God, because maybe you're supposed to, maybe you're not. Right? All the anxiety and the overwhelm is that we want something to happen and we think that's in our best interest. That is why we lose our peace. And so if you your past reaction to him are also not there. Okay, wait, I just read that. In your questioning of illusions, ask yourself it is really sane to perceive what was as now. If you remember the past as you look upon your brother, you will be unable to perceive the reality that is now. You consider it natural to use your past experience as the reference point from which you judge the present. Yet this is unnatural because it is delusional. See, the course just calls you out constantly, and I love it. It's so funny. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. When you have learned to look on everyone with no reference at all to the past, either his or yours as you perceived it, you will be able to learn from what you see now. And that is our goal, is to learn from what we see now without the bias, without the reference point of the past. Yeah. So Natalia is my co-host on this call, and I know sometimes I go into it and I just don't stop. But Natalia, do you want to share anything? I know you may have had something you wanted to share on this call.
I had when you were talking about all of this and taking God off the throne, I remembered Marianne Williamson shared in one of her talks how be more like children. And that resonated a lot as you were speaking, because she went into explaining, and what does she mean by that? Be more like children. Children know that they don't know. So when a child is walking, like, they raise their hand so that somebody will hold their hand and walk them towards where they're going. And as we grow older, we either start thinking we know, or we pretend that we think we know. So we're pretending into letting other people know that we think we know where we're going.
What are you pretending not to know?
So yeah, I just thought of that, be more like children, and that resonated with me as you were speaking. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, the Course says the returning of your mind of yourself and your brothers to the innocent child of God. That's the atonement right there. The atonement is to bring yourself back to the innocent state. Forgiveness is to give as before, not to give after your forgiveness and all the process of, whatever we do through our forgiveness. Oh no, but what you did to me is still real, but I'm going to forgive you, but I'm not going to trust you anymore. Right? I'm going to forgive you for what you did, but I'm no longer going to trust you. I'm no longer going to help you. I'm no longer going to have agreements with you. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is to return your mind to before what you thought happened, before you thought that somebody was out to get you and they're no longer worth trusting. That's not forgiveness. Okay, that's some like ego's upside down thing.
Love more like dogs.
Love more like dogs. Oh my God, that's great. Be more like a kid and love more like dogs. I mean, seriously, that's why we love dogs. That's why we love dogs, because they're just like, they love you no matter what. They don't have no string attached to anything. They sleep most of the day and they're just chilling, and they're like, oh, I love you, struggle or not. If you give them food or not, they're just like gonna love you anyways.
No matter what we do, they can go back to that.
Yeah, and they bounce back. Well, there are dogs. I mean, obviously they do experience trauma and they learn from that, like extreme pain. But when they experience love, and when you are loving to them, they will share this this loyalty that just dogs are the totem of loyalty. So yeah. Anybody else want to share anything? You have any challenges that you're going through? Any aha moments on this call? When these conversations are happening, these connected spiritual conversations, the thoughts that come up in your mind are meant to be shared. It's for the purposes of healing everyone. Like no thoughts show up by accident in these moments. Yeah. So, wait, hold on one second.
This is Rowena.
Hey, Rowena.
Hi. I'm not on camera. I look pretty scary right now. I just got back from the gym, but you know, I keep hearing what you said about forgiving completely and showing up with a clear and clean heart. I'm paraphrasing what you said, and I try to do that, but sometimes I wonder, how do you do that and protect yourself from being hurt? Because if it's someone who's hurt you already, and you show up and you forgive them, and you show up and you say, okay, I trust you again, but then they hurt you again. How do you do both at the same time?
Well, so the only way that we can see somebody hurting us is that we have 1 second, brother. The only way that people can actually hurt us is if we had some sort of expectation that here you go, here's my heart. Okay, I'm giving this to you, but you better not drop it. You better not whatever. And we're actually waiting for them to, because the ego actually wants conflict. The ego wants conflict because the ego's main teaching is separation. Conflict helps the ego not think about who we really are in the God self, right? So if you're asking, let's say, so we're asking, what are you asking? Are you asking to be able to express trust again? Right? You're learning, you're trying to ask, and you're trying to learn the capacity in which you're able to trust. That's why we keep trying to trust people.
Yeah.
So if you're asking, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's my nature to be what you're describing, but unfortunately, multiple times I show up like that, I'm disappointed in different aspects. Some professional, some personal. So how do you? I guess it's developing a resiliency so that if it happens, if you have no expectation and it happens, then you're not hurt.
Well, also to recognize that you can't possibly be hurt by this person. I give to you because I'm giving it with no strings attached. That means I have no expectations. For example, if somebody, says, somebody was like, oh, fuck you, right? And you're like, okay, cool. I don't even know you. That's great. See you later. You don't even take offense to it. But then if it's your kid that says, fuck you, all of a sudden, it's not just words anymore. It's like, oh, the lack of appreciation. It's, disrespect to your parent. Like all the other stuff comes in now. It's no longer just words. See, that means we gave all this time that we thought we were sacrificing for them. We expect some level of gratitude. And if you say fuck you to me, now I'm disappointed and all of that. But why can't we see it as, why don't we separate the two? Or why do we separate the two of a stranger versus the loved one, right? It's actually not love. It's called specialness. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to give real quick before we get to everybody here. We have my brother here on Instagram Live that wanted to ask and share. So go ahead, bro.
Miami at an event, and this last month I went to 5 live events, and that's the first time my life changed forever. I've been dealing with an ankle injury for 3 years. It started when I was really stressed with work, trying to deal with stuff, trying to get things organized, and it was a reoccurring injury. And when it came this time, during that time, it never left for 3 years. A year ago, I had on my ankle, and I re-injured. And then at the event, on the first one over in Aventura, I met somebody and I had a scooter. So I put my knee on a scooter. I was in so much pain with my ankle. I'd be scootering around so I wouldn't have to stand on it at the grocery stores and any store. I'd use an electric scooter where I'd sit on it. And then he asked me what was going on with it. I said, I heard it a long time ago. I had surgery. It's never gotten better. I'm in a lot of pain. And he said, can I say a prayer with you? For you? I said, yeah, sure. And I heard this guy was super successful, So I'd already wanted to talk to the guy about, just his success. It wasn't even, I didn't know he was religious or anything. And so I was all ears for whatever the guy had to say. And he asked to say a prayer. He put his hand on my ankle. He said a prayer for maybe under 10 seconds. And he said, go ahead and stand up. And how does it feel? I said, oh my God, the pain's gone. I can't believe it. He said, and he looked down at the scooter and said, yeah, you don't need that anymore. You're healed. Are you willing to let Jesus in your life? I said, yes, 100%, of course. Like, totally. I've never had any type of experience like that. So powerful, so spiritual, so life transforming, of 3 years in pain. That was the first day in 3 years I started driving with my right foot with the shoe on. In 3 years after that, I finally could stand on it. And what really resonated with me is like we are kind of, it's our own, I don't know how you said it earlier, but kind of like we need to take responsibility for the pain we're bringing in, or you said something. And then basically when we met, I was standing and I hadn't been like that pain free for years. And then I started playing golf again, practicing. And then I was on it for 2 hours and then I started feeling it. And I'm like, oh no, it's, and he told me you need to command it to never let it enter your body and remind yourself God is with you. And I just wanted to speak on that, tell people my story of like, oh my God, a miracle happened, transformed my life. Now I'm with God, Jesus. I'm learning to be more, and so I'm so happy that you have this part, because we focus on other things I had no idea when I met you. So it's just so special, and maybe get some lessons or things I can keep implementing to keep the strength there and keep the whatever it is out forever and banish it, from my life and not let it to ever enter. And yeah.
So awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that share, brother. And here's the thing too. It's not that there is something we need to not have, right? There's something that we need to keep out. It's not about keeping out. It's about seeing beyond. That it isn't that the pain itself, it's not that we need to keep the pain out, but we need to go beyond the pain for what the pain represented for us. And the course talks about love and fear are opposites, right? But what is all encompassing can have no opposites. The trying to conquer, the trying to keep out the fear and trying to keep out the ego actually makes the ego more real. You see, this is the law of expansion, and the law of growth is that the more attention you give to it, the bigger it grows. So if I'm trying to force out something, I need to get rid of negative thoughts. The more of that, all you do is focus on the negative thoughts. The universe is like, oh, negative thoughts. Like, that's all that's happening. Oh, I need to get rid of the negative thoughts. But it's to look beyond all the things that you thought was negative, that it couldn't even be negative. That it's just a form showing you where the positive is. And as soon as you transcend beyond that, it's healed. It's healed because, that was part of my journey to healing. My ankle being like broken was my journey to being healed on the soul level. That yes, the body, it was a learning device. The body is not the truth. Why is it not the truth? Because it also deteriorates. It changes over time. Anything that changes over time is not the truth. So our body, the course actually says the final lesson and the only lesson we need to learn is that I am not my body. Can I be beyond that? Because the ego's number one evidence to show you that this separate self, Alex, is real and the ego is real, is to make the body sick. To have pain in my ankle so I can walk around and also get some love, some sympathy. Anger, pain, sickness, all of that is a calling for love. Underneath the anger, underneath the pain, underneath all that is a calling for love. I need more love, right? Like, I'm going to Not that I even am consciously doing this, but I'm going to walk around and limp for 3 years because I actually get some love from it. You know, and that's why the Course says in order for you to get rid of your sickness, you have to actually decide that this is no longer valuable. Yes. Hi.
Okay, see?
Yes, you can speak. Wait, sorry, bro.
Okay. So last year, yeah, I was going through a lot. There is an autoimmune disease that I've been diagnosed with,
Mm.
and I hadn't been on a plane in a few years, and sort of wasn't doing very well. But I've always said, you know what? Not about me. God has a plan for my life, and that's why I'm going through what I'm going through. So last year I said, you know what? And God is bigger than that. I'm gonna get on a plane. I'm gonna fly. You know, I'm gonna start doing things I would do. And lo and behold, by May, I had flown to Florida. And actually, my sister and I drove to Florida. We flew back. I still needed oxygen. But we did it. We had a wonderful time. And by August, I was in the hospital. I've been in the hospital about 4 times since. And I think you're right when you say we stay sick sometimes because of attention, love, whatever the situation may be, that we keep ourselves sick and we make ourselves sick. Because as I thought about it, I'm gonna have to get up and do something different. You know, and not only that, but listening to the doctor. Like in my hotel room, in my hospital room, we're going to the doctors. When they start off with this negativity, I have to say, stop. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I don't want to hear that right now. Like, just stop. You know, don't come in here with that. And sometimes you have to tell them that. Because honestly, you can leave a doctor's office. You can go in feeling great, leave the doctor's office, and by the time you get to your car or get home, you feel worse than you did. And we all have to be aware of things like that.
Yeah.
You know, we do have to be aware of that. And that's why, you know, like you said, just being mindful, you know, and, you know, giving it to God and things of that nature, because even your family member, my sister, she means well, but when you asked me, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing great. And she told me, stop saying you're doing great because you're not. And that just sort of took me down and out a lot. And I realized, like, for 3 days, like, I didn't feel well because that was in my head. And I was like, forgive me, Lord. I'm giving this to you because this does not belong here. And this is not of you. You know, this is of the devil. I want nothing, no part of it. So, I like your content. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
You know, I do definitely hear what you're saying, and I'd be interested in getting that book and taking a look at it. But also I have to jump off. So,
Well, thank you for your share and your contribution this morning. You know,
thank you.
and I hope to see you more. Yeah, see you more on here. It's 10 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday and Sunday, and in the coming weeks, I'm gonna do like 1 day a week. I'm probably gonna do like a marathon, which I'll just be on here all day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Alex.
Yes. Who just said that?
Me.
Oh,
Okay.
hey. Hi.
Hey guys, I read something this week that really kind of made me think, and I thought, you know, that's really a good way to put it. But the guy, it ended up saying, "I'm so tired of fighting that all I want is peace." So if you come up to me and say 1 + 1 is 5, I'm going to look at you and say, great. So I thought that was something that was worth sharing because I mean, we all fight for stupid things. And, it's why fight? I mean, you have the way you believe, other people have the way they believe. But in the end, it's all love. That's all it is. That's what God wants us to do. It's just love. I thought that might help somebody. Instead of fighting, just say, oh, okay, great, and walk away. Don't give it your energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's about whatever it takes to shift our mind into joy and happiness and trust, and belief, and relinquishing and removing our own judgments. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Harry.
So I want to share about what a recent friend did. He so he handed me over his ID, and it was his ID, and he told me that it was an ID of a dead man. And so, like, according to him, he's like this FBI agent, and I asked him at this time, I'm like, okay, I play along with it. I'm like, okay, do you have any other cards of this dead man? And I like hold back my smile and everything. And he hands me over all these cards. This one has this amount of money on it. This one's this. And I said, what about your electric bike? He has a $2,000 electric bike. I said, what about that electric bike? He says, also to the dead man. I said, you can't have the dead man's things. Hand me over everything. He hands me over all the phones, the deed to the electric bike, everything.
Wow.
I own a $2,000 electric bike now.
Who was this guy?
His name is Christopher.
And you just met him randomly?
I met him through another a coworker that had opened up his home to me, and he opened up his home with the intention to get this guy out of his house. This guy is going through some mental things, and the owner of the lease did not want to tell him to leave. So he invited me into this house to get him to go find another place, which I was able to accomplish within 3 days. And within that time, I get this special agent handing me over all the property to an identity that wasn't his, or so he claimed. It was a very interesting experience. I wanted to share with him because it's like, instead of telling him like, no, you're not a secret agent and like all these things, like I was able to play into it, and like it also came out the other side like very, very it's a lot more fun, and not even just about the things. Like it was a lot of fun, and like I felt the intention behind what it was that he's saying, that he aspires to do good things. And like I even read through, he gave me the Google 7 phone.
Mm-hmm.
This is like an $800 phone. I started reading through his messages just to get to know him, and he's extremely intelligent. He has a lot of great ideas. He supports a lot of people. Very, very interesting guy. I hope to see him again.
But you have all of his stuff.
I did have all of his stuff. It's all gone except for the electric bike.
What do you mean it's all gone? Like, what'd you do with it?
Oh, I gave it away, sold it. It's going back into my business. Yeah, I'm able to get a truck now. I have a moving business, so it all went back into investing into my business. So if he does ever come back around and want the things, if he's in the right state of mind, I'll be able to give it back to him, no problem.
All right. Well, I mean, as long as you have peace around what you're doing, right? And as long as you can see the abundance in it, if there's any,
no judgment.
Yeah, we just have to begin to get honest with ourselves in, what we're creating around us. Like, why is it even showing up? Because, the Course says, look, everything is just an illusion here in this world. So we are creating it. We are creating the experience, and we create the experience strictly on the way we think, right? Thinking is what generates the experience we have. So, the Bible's like, the world was created when God spoke. Words, thoughts manifested something, right? And it's really like, how do we, when we say something, we manifest something as well. When we think something, we also manifest something. Everything. Go ahead.
Sorry, man. I just don't get it though. Like I believe that I believe in the most obscure moments, and I'm just dumping this positivity into a pit of people who just don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
What does that have to do with what does that have to do with me?
I don't know. What does people having to give a fuck have to do anything with you either?
Say that one more time.
What does other people giving a fuck have to do with anything with you anyways? Like, are you doing it to get approval? Or are you doing it so that people could be like, oh, I give a fuck? Nobody's really going to give a fuck much about anything anyways. Right? So it's just your own mind.
I feel super alone. Like this mushroom trip that I went through and the many experiences I've had, I just feel super alone. Like I just feel like people are talking about and worrying about things that I don't worry and I don't give a fuck about. I genuinely, I do not worry about what I'm eating that day. I don't think about where I'm going to sleep. I don't think about any of those things, and they constantly come into me in my life.
Yeah.
I work closely with certain agencies to help break down crime rings. And I never thought that I would be doing something like this. Like, it has been very challenging. It's been extremely dangerous and like gets my adrenaline up and going, and I don't have to go out and do stupid stuff that would get me into trouble. Like I told you, I've been to prison and county jails. Like I started out as a career criminal and thief, and I'm on the opposite side of the law now.
Okay.
Like these are the things I'm doing for my life, and I just feel like everyone around me is just complaining about things, and I'm alone. Like sometimes I just go around them just because I want someone to talk to, and then I start hearing the things they're talking about. I'm like, you know what? I'm going back to being alone.
Yeah. So that's the challenge, because we will all feel that on some level. You know, nobody's gonna live in your shoes. But how can you see? It's not about you being alone. If you want to shift that being alone, is you make sure other people don't feel alone. What you're going through right now is just a manifestation of what is real for you in your mind. Like other people, some people aren't giving a crap about where they live and all that. But because that is something in your mind that is real for you, you will see it in people. It's not that you so here's the thing about the course. Here's what it teaches you. It's not about what I perceive and then that becomes real. This is cause and effect. So I'm going to talk about cause and effect real quick. Projection makes perception. It's not that you perceive it back because there's something wrong with everybody else. You've projected something into a space, and because the ego's determination to be right is so strong, that's why it perceives it back. And what you're perceiving is actually what you've made real in your mind. So the cause of your feeling of being alone isn't because of something outside of you. So first we have to reel it in that it isn't something outside of me causing me to feel alone. It is that I have made alone something that is real for me. And that now, because I want to fight for this idea of alone, I'm going to create all this separation between myself and them. That, oh, they care about shit that I don't care about. Well, then find something that they care about that you do care about, right? Instead of looking to be right about I'm alone and I don't care about where I sleep or what I eat today, but they all care. Well, find something else. Find something else that they would be interested in and start to connect. Look for the similarities, not the differences. Because what you're looking for is only pointing back to where what you've made real in your mind. Right? So if you're like, I want to connect with people. That is really, the course says we return home in pairs. Every time you decide that you're going to be alone and you're going to be solo is because you have let the ego take over. and that you decided, I want to be right about the way I've been playing life. Now, at the end of the day, nothing wrong with that either, but are you happy? Are you okay with the way that you're running it? Can you see this being sustainable for your life? Is this what you want? You got to take an honest check-in with yourself. Is this what I want? Right? And we're going to tell ourselves, oh, yeah, you know, I'm living like this, so that's why I love this and that. But there's a confusion. The ego is confused all the time. It confuses you. So you reel it in that, hey, it's not something outside of me that's causing this. Then you let it come up. You don't fight it and hide it with some other things just to be like, oh, yeah, because of this. You don't justify and try to purify yourself first. You let it, you reel it in, then you let it come up, and then you give it over to spirit. And that's how you deepen your faith and your trust. And from that space, okay, I'm it's safe to be honest. See, that's the thing. The world isn't safe for us to be honest. That's why we play the roles that we think is acceptable. We either please everybody else or we become complete rebels. There is no middle ground. So can I just be content and can I be happy with something that is real, not something that I made up and that I'm fighting? And the thing that's real is, dude, we're all going down this river of life, and there is no choice for you in the curriculum, in the direction of the river. The only choice that you have and the only free will you have is in this moment, will I accept the role that I'm playing as I flow down this river, or am I going to struggle and swim upstream and just keep fighting the current and get upset about this, upset about that, and I'm the only one swimming in this direction? Well, stop swimming in that direction if it causes resistance.
Now, wait a second, Alex. The story of the koi fish, they swam up the stream, up the waterfall, and became a dragon.
Okay, well, after being a dragon, they still got to come flowing back down the stream. So you do whatever you want. You could become a dragon. You could become a coil fish. You can become a shark, whale, a goldfish, whatever you want. It's only going to go down the stream, right? You're going to eventually lead yourself down to the end of the stream, which is heaven. How long it takes for you to get there, that's up to you. The Course says that delay is unnecessary, but you can delay all you want. Nobody's judging it. The water and the stream of life flows this way. You can fight for as long as you want. The water does not care. The stream does not care. Life does not care how hard you fight in the other direction. You're going that way regardless, because there is no exiting that stream, because that's life. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So enjoy it, and see how you can allow more peace and love into your life. Anytime you have conflict, it's literally rising as a lesson, as a moment to show you what is in the way of you just being in the place of surrender. And these calls this is why I've been doing these calls for 4 years now, so that it's a space of reminder. Not just and I do it every day so that I can remind myself. And it just so happens that, hey, after a whole year, now you're back, you join us, and you contribute in the way you do. And everybody here is meant to hear and listen and learn, including myself. The learning happens together here. There's a learning that's happening. There's a remembering that's happening. It's not me doing anything. All right. So I'm going to give Donna. Okay. So we have 9 more minutes. Donna, go ahead.
So I'm glad you're having these conversations today, because, not unlike Carrie, I also felt very alone for a lot of years because, my family situation and feeling at the time like a victim, And so it's important what you said about shifting your mindset to how you can connect with people in a different way instead of always telling your story like I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, because really nobody wants to hear it after a while. You know, they like what you're saying about finding ways to connect to people. And so could you just talk a little bit more about that specific thing? Because sometimes I just feel like disconnected.
Yeah. So let's call connection, okay, or let's call connection like this darkness, and let's disconnection the darkness, and connection a spark or a light, okay? In order for you, this is why the Course says we return in pairs. In order for you to see your own light, you must see it in a brother or a sister, especially the person, whoever it is that's talking to you. See the Christ consciousness within them. See the light in them so that you can re-spark the light in yourself. Okay, when I'm feeling really down, the ego says go to bed and disconnect from the world. You know what actually makes me feel better? When I have a genuine conversation with somebody that all of a sudden brings us together, and I see, oh my God, this person was just, it's so amazing. And the thought of that all of a sudden brings this light back into us. So anything that you judge throughout the day, oh, here's my opportunity to create connection. Like I judged it. Somebody is being rude to somebody else. Oh, let me look at the light in this person instead of my judgment. The judgment will create disconnect. The attack thoughts will create disconnect. But transcending and going beyond those things to see love, that brings connection. And then as you do that and practice that more and more, all of a sudden oh my God, I was just judging my family so hard as well. I had so much expectations. That's why I feel so hurt. And as that starts to lighten up, and your relationships, you start to forgive in a way. And it's not like I forgive you because you did something wrong to me and I want to be better, but it's that I've started to shift my perception about the fact that you even hurt me in the first place. That, man, you're just doing your best and I'm just doing my best. And we start to see the likeness instead of the differences of how we operate. And as we see that, your light becomes my light and my light becomes your light. And then I recognize, oh, this is the purpose of my life. In every scenario, when you recognize that the purpose of your life is to shine up, is to create the spark, to remember the spark for both you and whoever you're talking to, like here in this moment, I hope that as we're talking about this, everybody's light is starting to shine a little bit brighter. There's an aha moment like, oh, there's something here about the way I'm doing relationships. There's something here in the way that I relate to the world and the material things in this world. See, when that stuff starts to show up a little bit, there's a glimpse of light that comes. And it's not because the light isn't there. It's because we've turned our backs to the light. All we're doing is kind of like looking back like, oh, there's a light. Oh, there's a light. But every time we see the light, we remember. And when you actually see the light and experience the light once, you will never forget. So in order for us to create these connections is to see the light in other people. Because we want to see it in ourselves. We want to remember it. And as we remember it, they remember it. And there's a deeper connection to us. Vina, hello, my friend. So yeah, that's oh, Vina's here, everybody. So Desiree, go ahead, share. Ask your question.
I don't so much have a question, more of just like this message today is so needed. I feel like I've been asleep for a month.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like I've been asleep. Like my whole life is just like passing me by, and I've just been in this hole. And I haven't been able to get myself out of that hole. And the other day when I went and saw Chase, and I just told him, I'm like, listen, I feel like I'm asleep. I feel like I'm not awake. I feel like just what is happening? Like, what is going on in my world? And why can't I just get myself back in order and get stuff done and get shit done and be present? And he's like, let's just get some flow to your brain. And after that session with him, it was, I walked out of there and I felt like I finally woke up.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel now?
Like every day is like, it's a challenge. Every day has been, I have to consciously make the decision of, okay, let's focus, let's wake up, give our day to the Lord. I've just been, getting back into living, but things have been clearer. Things are starting to become to the light again. Things are like the light's been turned on, and it's still not bright. I still have moments of darkness where I just want to just crawl in my bed and disconnect from the world.
Mm-hmm.
But between the session with Millie and then with Chase, it was like a light didn't turn on, but it's still not 100%. And I feel like it's getting there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting back to who I am. Like, because I know who I am, and I feel like I lost myself, but I feel like I said, I feel like I've been asleep. So this message today has been, the beginning.
Yeah. And here's the thing, what you focus on continues to grow, right? So like you can focus on the darkness and being asleep and then putting your head under the pillow and going more into sleep. That's not the way to wake up, right? The way to wake up is the connection with people. Like have a call with somebody. When you go and talk to Chase, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel a little more awake. And then I go back to sleep. But you got to keep the light on by looking towards the light, not looking towards the darkness. Right. So before we for Lyra, before that, I want to just read one kind of quick prayer, and I want to send it out to everybody. And so this is: the universe knows how to organize itself. Today I stand back and I let it come to me. Divine organization is inherent in all things. The larger plan is not mine to know and not mine to create. It is simply mine to follow. As a cell contains a natural intelligence by which it fosters the healthy functioning of the body, I too have natural intelligence that fosters the perfect unfolding of my life. My natural intelligence is love. And as long as I cleave to that and only that, all things good and true and peaceful will find their way to me. I cannot use my fingers to create a design out of a pile of iron shavings. I can only do that by using a magnet. The magnet is the love within me, attracting naturally the most positive events to myself and those around me. Today, I will not walk ahead of love. Rather, I will trust that as I rest content within my heart, the universe will automatically find a way to lift me up and bring me peace. So for you, Desiree, is the trust that as you are here, that you can be content with where you are, and that God will automatically fill you up and lift you up. That you got to give it over. You got to surrender. Surrender not in a way of giving up, but a surrender of giving in so that you may receive. Okay, so that is the lesson and the prayer that I want to send out to everybody here, and that may this conversation contribute to the healing of the world. And when I say the healing of the world, I mean the healing of your world. Because what we share today, 17 people here, 100 people on Instagram Live, like you go out and you change your world. You change the way you do relationship with the situations in your life, and you do relationship with your family, your coworkers, your partners, all of that. That's my prayer and my intention of these calls. And so we'll take one last question here, Lyra, and then we will conclude for the day. And Wednesday, we will come back to it. And I'm going to try and go for like 8 hours. because an hour and a half is too quick. All right, go ahead, Lyra.
It's not a question that I just wanted to share. I have been reading the Course of Miracle daily, so today is my 100th day. But I wanted to share 2 days ago, Friday, it was I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. And then the exercise was supposed to be every 5 minutes within the hour, spend that time with Him, right? So I decided that day, because it's the pain all the time, right? Like you said earlier, we have so much threshold for pain. And I'm like, I'm so tired of this, just going back to it. I said, why not today? Today, I'm going to have a date with God. Every hour for 5 minutes, I'm going to do it. And it says, look forward to it and be happy to have fun and look forward to every hour and spend 5 minutes. And I did. And I did for 8 hours, and it was so much fun. I just wanted to share with everyone. But of course, that was just the day. The following day, it was just another challenge, right? So I just have to keep on doing that. But at least I wanted to experience that feeling. What does it feel like to not have pain? And just look forward to something every hour. So that was great for me. I just wanted to share. And it keeps on coming up when someone was sharing, and it was just pushing me to share. And I'm like, okay, I think it's past now, but I heard Desiree again. But I wanted to share, hopefully, this something that you can also do, or for one day, maybe even for the next 3 hours. So, thank you.
Yeah, joy and excitement and enthusiasm is the way to God, is a way to recognize that, we are walking the right path right now. All the resistances it isn't meant for us. If we can just trust that, oh, this is happening. I don't know why, but I trust that everything happening to me is for the greater good. And that may I today, and may all of us, do the things we do, think the things we think, do our relationships, knowing that we are in service to humanity, that we are in service to the collection, to the greater good. That I woke up today knowing that I am going to contribute to the healing of the world. And if I can be very clear on that, then all my shit that comes up, all right, Vina, thanks for being here. All my shit that comes up, it's just part of the illusion, part of the confusion. So, yeah, may you all recognize today that you are playing this role of healing the world. So, no matter what's going on. All right, so let's stay connected, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. And if anybody ever has any questions, just reach out to me. If you want to join the WhatsApp group for ACIM, let me know. And if you want to have reminders, just go on my link, my Instagram, and click into the link tree on my profile and just register for ACIM calls. All right, so many blessings. Natalia, do you want to close this out with anything? Any thoughts?
No, thank you.
All right. You run the next call. I'm just going to listen next time. Blessings to everybody. Thank you all for being here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.